Level 1, you are 8 years old, but this is not really about racing yet, not in the way adults understand it. It starts with something simpler, a feeling you cannot explain. The first time you sit in a go-kart, the seat is too big for you. They have to place two cushions just so your feet can reach the pedals. You don't think about technique, you don't think about winning. You are just trying to understand what is happening to your body. The engine starts. And suddenly, everything changes. The vibration travels through your back, through your hands, through your chest. It feels like the machine is thinking with you, not against you. Your father stands behind the barrier. He holds a stopwatch. Not because he expects something, but because he is trying to understand what you are becoming. On every corner, you brake too early. On every straight, you hesitate. You are not slow because you are bad. You are slow because your body still belongs to fear. But none of that matters to you. Because something inside you has already changed. You don't want to stop. On the way home, you draw tracks. Not once, again and again, as if your mind refuses to accept that the day is over. Level 2, you are 12, and something has shifted. Racing is no longer a weekend activity. It has started to become structure. Your kart is now yours. Not rented, not temporary. Owned through sacrifice. Second-hand, rebuilt, adjusted. A retired mechanic works on your engine. He doesn't explain everything. He watches you more than the kart. And he says something you don't forget. The car is important, but the driver is more important. At first you don't understand, but slowly you start to feel it. A racing line is not just a path, it is timing. It is discipline under pressure. It is doing the same corner differently depending on everything that came before it. You start repeating laps in your mind, even when you are not driving. One day, you win your first real race. But what stays with you is not the trophy. It is the silence afterward. Because for the first time, you realize something uncomfortable. Winning does not feel like completion. It feels like expectation. Level 3, you are 16, and racing changes shape. It becomes expensive in a way you cannot ignore anymore. Sponsors appear, small ones. Local businesses. A workshop. A restaurant. A few names printed on your car. They are not investing in performance. They are investing in possibility. Your mother takes photos proudly. But behind that pride, something else is happening. Your father never talks about it. But you notice small changes. The car is gone. Public transport replaces it. Long drives replace comfort. Later you understand. He sold it. Quietly, without making it a story. That is when racing stops being just racing. It becomes cost. Not only financial, but emotional. You finish the season midfield, but your lap data tells a different story. You are getting closer, not fast enough yet, but consistently closer. Level 4, you are 19. Eurobep. Everything is different. The language, the pressure, the silence between people. You are no longer the focus. You are one of many. Some drivers arrive with history behind them. Some arrive with money already secured. You arrive with repetition and time. You start noticing something important. On track, everyone is fast, but not everyone understands why they are fast. So you begin to study, not just driving, but behavior, patterns, breaking points, mistake cycles. While others recover after sessions, you stay with the data, you replay laps, you look for tiny inconsistencies, hundreds of them, and slowly, something changes. You stop trying to be the fastest driver. You start trying to be the most consistent system. At one point in the season, you win a race, not because everything was perfect, but because you made fewer mistakes than everyone else. And that becomes your first real identity. Level 5, you are 22. Formula 2. This is no longer just sport. It is structure with entry requirements. 3 million euros. That is what separates potential from participation. Not talent, not speed, money. You spend months traveling. Cities blur together. Meetings feel repetitive. You are no longer just a driver. You are a presentation, a pitch, a projection of future value. And then comes the crash. 190 kilometers per h-hour impact. The car brakes. The sound disappears. You step out. And for a moment, nothing feels real. Not because you are injured, but because you understand something clearly. Everything here can end instantly, even progress. You return, not because you feel ready, but because stopping feels more final than continuing. Level 6, you're 24, a phone call arrives, a Formula One opportunity testing. Then something changes. A driver is injured. You are told to race. There is no preparation time, no emotional space, only movement. The world you trained for suddenly becomes immediate. 20 cars, 300 kilometers per h-hour. Everything is louder than expected, except your thoughts. They become quieter, almost absent. You finish 14th, 1 point. But the real moment comes after. Inside the cockpit. Helmet still on. Hands still shaking. Because you realize this is no longer a dream. This is now your job. Level 7, you are 27. Now you are no longer reacting. You are shaping. The car responds differently when you speak. Engineers listen more carefully than they talk. Small adjustments matter. Even tiny feedback becomes meaningful. You win in the rain. Visibility is almost gone. You do not remember deciding anything. You only remember arriving at the right moment repeatedly. People call it instinct, but you know better. Instinct is just training that survived pressure. Level 8, you are 31, world champion. But the final race is not cinematic. It is controlled survival, tire degradation, pressure from behind, limited margin. You are not racing for speed anymore. You are protecting structure. 3 laps feel longer than the entire season. When you cross the line, there is no explosion of emotion, only release. And later, memory does not replay the race. It replays earlier versions of you. The boy drawing tracks, the teenager studying data, the young driver learning silence. That is when you realize something important. You did not become this person suddenly. You built it through repetition. Level 9, you are 45. Retired for years. Now you observe. From outside the cockpit. Young drivers repeat your mistakes, and occasionally your brilliance. You sit in commentary booths. You analyze races that once defined your life. But the emotion is different now, less intensity, more understanding. Sometimes you return to karting, not for nostalgia, but calibration. To feel what was lost when everything became meaning. And somewhere right now, an 8-year-old sits in a kart for the first time. Feet barely reaching the pedals. Not knowing anything about trajectory. Not knowing that nothing here is guaranteed, but also not knowing that certainty was never the point. Only movement is, and the track will teach the rest. It always does.